So as you know, my name is Steve Moreland, and I appreciate you for jumping into my book. If we already know each other, that's awesome. So you already know where I've come from and a little bit about me. If not, I'm putting this video in the very beginning of my research manual that you're reading now as my book. And it's about 75 pages, but it's 8.5 by 11, meaning that I haven't actually chopped it down to the 5 by 7, which is going to probably take it out to about 150, 175 pages. And you're like, Steve, that's a lot of content for me to read. Do I have to read the whole thing? And the answer is no, you don't. That's why I'm reading, or actually giving you this video right now, is to kind of break this down and give it to you in a more concise fashion, so that you can kind of figure out, what is it that you need to pay attention to if you really need to get down to, having a conference call with me and finding out if this is something that fits your particular situation. Like 75% of the clients that we do interview, they do qualify for the strategy that we're able to use with a HELOC, and actually looking at their entire debt and income strategy and how to free up cash flow so that you feel like you have some breathing space every month, and at the same time be able to pay off all of your debt, including your mortgage, 4 times faster. So let's break this down. So I'm actually going to look at my table of content here on the same screen, and below this you're going to be able to jump in here and find out more about the individuals that have known me for decades of my life, all the way back to my oldest friend that I think he was in 4th grade, Mark Miller, with me, and what he knew about me from the very beginning, and other individuals that are former active duty military, special forces, and what I would call very successful individuals in the business environment sector that I've had a chance to work with, consult with, and prove myself, I guess you would say. So I'm giving you those types of testimonials there. The foreword, I'm very, very honored to have that foreword by my very good friend, best friend, Matt Morris. He refers to me as his first mentor. That was actually not known to me for, I don't know, almost 2+ decades. We've known each other for 24 years, I think. And so he really didn't tell me until about 5 or 6 years ago that I had that kind of impact in his life, but I'm very honored. So his foreword is there, and been able to help Matt also with this particular type of structure of being able to accelerate, or introduce him to accelerated banking, how it can accelerate the mortgage and payoff of his real estate as well. So you can go through that, and then getting into the different sections. My background goes back 3+ decades in the financial service industry. So I'm going to give you some technical stuff. This isn't just a nonfiction book. This is more of a research document, because I've written a lot of technical, philosophical, and even behavioral finance and sociology type stuff over my career. And so my background allows me to think about this thing in more of a professor perspective. So I want to give you a good backdrop before we actually just jump right in and start talking about how to use things like cash flow stacking and paycheck parking, and what the heck is a HELOC, Steve? I've never heard of these things. Those are the strategies and the tactics that we're going to show you about how to implement the strategy step by step is really going to be the value of the book and the coaching that we offer and provide to you if this is something that you need and want to have that call with me. So if this is following the normal procedure, you've already set up a quick phone call for me to find out if this fits. And in the meantime, you're looking at this book going, wow, there's a lot for me to cover here. What do I need to really get down to? So let's jump into that, okay? So the first section is really kind of giving you a history of the banking environment. So if you've never been around banking or finance, some of this stuff is going to be a little frightening to you. Some of it you're going to want to actually kind of turn a blind eye to, because a lot of us, even in America, don't want to believe that individuals that are bankers, the Wall Streeters, if you will, that are basically taking their intelligence and their money and their credit and their power and being able to shackle each one of us as individuals and treat us like we're not very bright people. And that is really what's happened here. So what I want to do is give you a backdrop so you can go in there and check it out. Here's the cool thing I've done in this research document is I have given you specific links of all of my research. So you can follow me click by click, link by link. It took me several weeks to go through this level of documentation, put it all together. And for you to go and absorb all that, it might take you several months. That's fine. That's why I did this for, so you could boost your level of knowledge. And once you know more, once you understand more, then what does that give you? That gives you the opportunity to make better decisions, because that's what education's all about, okay? It saves us from making those, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result that we call insanity. This is about doing new things, thinking in new ways, asking better questions, and opening up opportunities that are going to make a difference. So that's what this is about. So section 1 is giving you a backdrop of banking, what happens with your money when you deposit it to a bank. When you talk to a banker and you ask him, hey, when I give you my money and I deposit it in my checking account, why aren't you paying me any interest? Because aren't you taking my money that I deposit into your bank? That's the inventory, if you will, if you want to talk about this from a business perspective. So I provide the inventory to you, which is my paycheck called money, and then you take my dollars or my pounds or my whatever currency it is, and you turn back around and you lend it. And if you lend it to people that are wanting to use a credit card from your bank, you get an average in the US right now, 19.46%. Yes, over 19% interest, and you pay me zero. So why is it that I'm giving you the inventory, you're making 19% on it, and you're not giving me anything? And then when I come and ask you for a mortgage, or I ask you for a car loan or whatever, then you continue to take my money from me and then charge me 3.5% on a mortgage for 30 years, or go into a car note, which might be 7 or 8%, or a business loan, which might be 8, 9, 10. All those things there, they don't add up and they don't make sense. So that's number 1. That's chapter number 1, to give you kind of a backdrop and help you understand, wait a second, something's not right here, okay? Then we go into chapter number 2. Chapter number 2 is a research chapter, again, on what's going on with Americans, okay? Now, this book is specifically focused on Americans because all of our abilities to help you is based on resources of good lenders that are based here in the United States. So we don't have any connections in Canada, the UK, or Australia, which are the other 3 major countries, 4 countries that have actually more history in using this to help their citizens. We specifically specialize just right here in the United States of America. That's it. So can't help you outside of that. I can give you the knowledge, but you're going to have to go find those resources if you live in one of those other countries, okay? This is more designed about what's going on with the real numbers of looking at retirement, looking at debt, and looking at what is the future. And putting your head in the sand is not going to make the future different, okay? What you have to look at is, if the future is not happening based on what I'm currently doing right now, then what can I change today, this month, and this year that's going to alter how my future occurs down the road? That's the only thing that makes a difference. So first of all, you got to understand, well, what is really happening, with Social Security? What is really happening with your retirement? How do these processes work, and where are the errors that you continually make that cause you to make a poor decision instead of a better decision, okay? That's chapter number 2. Chapter number 3 is going to get into my research about the HELOC and what is the difference between a home equity line of credit and just a home equity loan. And they are not the same, okay? And then how does that particular loan, like a home equity line of credit, which is an open-ended, simple interest type of instrument, and how does that compare to a compounding closed-end mortgage note? And you're going to learn a new term. It's a French term, mortgage. Mortgage is actually referred to in French as 2 terms that mean death pledge. So when you understand that what you have put yourself into voluntarily, just simply because no one gave you better alternative or better insights, is what everyone else is doing. And if you do what everyone else has gotten, then what? You're going to get what they have gotten, which is a life of debt. And in the United States, if you look at the statistics, 95% of the individuals that reach age 65 are either dead or dead broke. And that's something that just shouldn't happen here in the greatest and wealthiest country in the history of the world. So how do you change that to get you from the 95% that are dead broke into that 5% that are wealthy, that are paid off, paid in full? That's what we named the name of the book. How do you get past all that debt so that you have your income in your retirement that is able to allow you to enjoy that level of freedom and time that you deserve? So this goes into that in chapter 2. Chapter 3, like I said, is going into the actual explanation, the Cliff Note version. So if you want to jump forward in the book, you can do that. and really get down to how does the process work. Some of it's going to be a little bit new and different, so don't be alarmed. That's what we're here to help you with. That's my background in coaching and finance. Spending 3+ decades in the financial service industry is to help you understand when we talk about things like paycheck parking and attacking the unpaid interest and how to reduce that compounding outstanding note, how to use cash flow stacking, and how to be able to use a different type of instrument with the equity of your home to be able to wrap all of your debt into one single note and be able to pay it all off, then taking that discretionary monthly income that you used to pay toward your credit cards and your car payments and your student loans and all those other outstanding installment payments, and now use all of those 100% of the time to pay down that outstanding mortgage note, and how to see it drop, not in 25 or 20 years, but watch it dramatically just overnight get paid off within 5 to 7 years and see your mortgage paid in full. So that's what chapter 3 is about. Chapter 4, I'm actually going to give you what's called in the corporate industry a comparative analysis. So I actually went out there and found the best experts in the industry. As you know my story, I stumbled into this back in the summer of 2021. I was speaking at a financial conference. One of the other speakers was on the platform with me. He spoke the next day. I was so impressed with his insights and knowledge. I said, wow, I've heard about everything in the financial service industry. I don't understand this. So I took him to dinner that night and interrogated him, I call it. But we basically spent hours going over all the details, and I couldn't sleep. And I couldn't sleep for several weeks after that. And that's why I actually gave up my position at a social media marketing firm and in the publishing industry and in my financial consulting, simply because this, to me, when I understood it, it was the most significant thing I've ever seen as far as helping Americans eliminate that debt and be able to put them into a time and money freedom more than anything else in the world. So that's what I did in chapter number 4, as I analyzed, okay, who are the other competitors, I guess you would say, or individuals that have been experts in this industry, and what do they do differently? Are they all the same? Do they have nuances? And that's what I did, is I actually analyzed all of them. I gave you their links. You can check out their websites. You can check out their YouTube channels. And some of them are doing a really extraordinary job, and they have saved hundreds and thousands of people in the United States, hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? The individual that I originally connected with, that after I analyzed everything, is Jason Nightingale of Safe Money Solutions. And when I finished analyzing what all the other competitors were, and I saw that, VIP Financial over here with Matthew Pillmore was charging as much as over $11,000 to coach people through the entire process that Jason was able to do and be comprehensive. And he was doing it for $2,500. And then I saw other individuals like Michael Lush of, RYM? It's Replace Your Mortgage. Really great individuals. The Quack brothers, awesome individuals as well. But those individuals are real estate investors, okay? This project, this strategy, what we're talking about here of accelerated banking, is something they do on the side. And what I liked about Jason is this is what he does. This is his full-time business environment. And even like Matthew Pillmore, he also does it on the side. He's really focused on the Airbnb industry right now and growing his portfolio there. Fantastic concepts. I've watched tons of his videos, really bright individual. Is to me not what I want to do, because I like to be single focused. And so I want to be able to help you. If this is your right timing, I want to be able to focus on this. And that's why I gave up everything else and focused on this. So that's what I did in chapter number 4. Chapter 5 is really a short chapter because it's, actually at the end of chapter 4, I forgot, I did a 1-page chart. So you can kind of look at it on 1 page. I compared all the major categories, and I show you everything that includes what your expectations could be as far as what would the expense, the time, the guarantee, all that kind of stuff. And again, all the links are there so you can check it out for yourself. So then we get to the last chapter, and the last chapter is, okay, well, what do you do next, and how do you make this happen, and who's going to help you, okay? So that's what I really did, is give you some of my training in performance coaching that I've done with my company, Rubicon, and I've done that for the last 15, almost 20 years now, how to help individuals change their perspective by changing what goes on up here in their mind. And that's what I really do, is I guess you would call it the value add, is not only am I going to help you accelerate using banking to your advantage so that you can pay off your mortgage 4 times faster, eliminate all your debt, and be able to enjoy a opportunity to truly get to that dream level of financial success that you've always wanted to, but be able to do that in the next 5 to 7 years, maybe even sooner. Because when Jason actually found this, he was able to take the remaining part. He had a 14-year of his 30-year mortgage, so he was just barely halfway. And when he found this, he was able to pay off that mortgage that had 14 years remaining without spending any more money than he normally was spending. Okay, didn't change his lifestyle. This is what's cool about this. It's how do you use the tactics and the strategy and how you become a banker for yourself. He was able to take 11 years of that 14 years and knock it off and pay off his mortgage in three years, and he saved himself $170,000. Now, his program that I have decided to work with him on and basically take you through every step of the way, we have saved over 1,500 individuals in 40 states. In the last 3 years, we've been able to save them an average of $133,000 in unnecessary mortgage interest. $133,000. What would that mean if you were able to put $133,000 back into your retirement plan? Well, in this case, this is cutting that down. That means money that you were going to normally pay to that mortgage, you're not going to have to pay it anymore because your mortgage is going to be paid off sooner. So now that extra $133,000 or more goes where? Well, it goes into your retirement plan, or it goes into maybe a local church that you want to be able to give part of that income of that retirement money, or whatever it is that you have. It's now your discretion. You get to do what you want to do with it. Maybe you want to go on a cruise. Maybe you want to fire your boss because you just didn't like the person. Maybe he's not very good to you, okay? Or maybe she just doesn't run a very good company. All those opportunities are now going to be in your control, because guess what? You're not going to need that JOB anymore to pay for all those debt notes that you have, because your mortgage is going to be paid off, student loans are going to be gone, car notes are going to be gone, credit cards are going to be zeroed, installment loans are gone. So when you don't have those every month, what do you have left? Well, you have utilities, maybe some groceries, and property taxes, okay? So when you get to the end of all that, that's what you're able to do, is you won't have to worry about all of those other things, and you can be able to say, what do I want to do with that income every month? And do I continue to need to spend my time, effort, and days going to work, commuting back and forth, and doing those things that maybe just aren't what I want to do, because you won't need to do them anymore, okay? They won't be have-tos. So that's really what everything goes through. That's all the sections of it. So if you want to jump, like I said, on into chapter number 3 and go into what is the Cliff Note version of a HELOC and start jumping into those details, you can. Jump into chapter 4, check out the other experts. Jump into chapter 5 and say, Steve, how are you going to help me do this? And what are you offering from a coaching standpoint that's going to not only help me get this installed and introduce me to all of your lenders so that I get this done in an expedited way, because I'm not good with banking and finance and numbers and accounting. That's not my thing, okay? That's what we do. That's why we help you. And when you get to that stage, then once we get it put together, we're going to show you how to implement it, how to apply it. And after you're applying it, then we're going to come back and check in with you every 6 months to a year and say, hey, how are things going? And if things have altered and changed like life does, we're going to be able to come in there and show you how to continue to stay on course, because, hey, modifications is what this is about, because life is not always what we expect. So that's okay. We're going to be able to help you with that, and that means we're basically going to hold your hand, walk you all the way, step by step, all the way to the finish line. And then when you're holding that mortgage note with paid in full stamped on it in red, and you know you're getting up that morning for the very first time and know that you don't owe anyone anything, and that home you live in is now yours and paid off, that's when we get to celebrate. So thanks for taking time to look at my book. I hope this gives you kind of a really good guide to jump in there and get down to the things that you want to look at first and foremost. And we'll look forward to talking to you very soon on a Zoom call to see if this is right for you. Take care.